Looky here, it's the Pat and JT podcast.
Pat and JT podcast.
Go to patandjt.com. Want to find out where our podcast... Whoa.
What? You okay there?
Wow. Midlife crisis, that's not a puberty, is it?
I don't...
Again, reverse.
Everything goes backwards.
Well, there's happy hour, reverse happy hour.
Yeah.
There's reverse mortgages now. Is it reverse puberty?
Well, kind of.
I mean, kind of, yeah. We listened to your second season podcast produced by Parkville Media, so we've learned about that. You're right. Very good point.
Kind of. It's all hormonal.
It is. Holy cow, it is.
Oh, my God. So this episode is every once in a while we get an opportunity to speak with somebody who is working, like, say, in Hollywood, movies opening up, or have special appearances. And this is one of those episodes. A movie that's going to be opening up as we speak in Omaha. It's coming up in a week is when it's going to be opening. So today being 17th. So the next weekend is when it opens up. But one of the stars of this movie, it's called The Irishman, and she's from Omaha. And we've got her on the phone with us. Her name is Stephanie Kurtzuba.
Hi.
Hi, it's Pat and JT. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Hey, guys. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
You too. Thanks for coming on our podcast and talking about your movie, and we appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Absolutely.
So you're going to be in town. You're coming to town this weekend, is that right?
I am. Santa Claus is coming to town. I'm going to be there on, I get in early Friday morning, and then I'm heading over to the first showing of the film.
Very nice.
Doing a little something.
I was going to say, let's start off talking about the film first and foremost. Then we're going to get into a little bit more because we've been kind of reading up here just a little bit. Born and raised in Omaha, there's going to be a lot of people ready to see you and excited to see you. This movie's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's definitely, a lot of people were waiting a long time for this collaboration. People are really responding to it. I mean, I knew it was a big deal when I was cast in it, but I don't think I realized the scope of it until like the last month when it's like slowly been rolling out at different film festivals to see the response. I'm like, wow, I think I might be a part of something historical.
This is really cool. And for people that don't know, it's called The Irishman. And it has some highly recognizable names if you want to go into detail about why this is going to be kind of a historical event.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's a couple in, upstart new actors named Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Harvey Keitel, a new young director named Martin Scorsese.
Is it scary working with so many unknowns?
I know you're working with so many untested talent.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're going to have to pull all the weight.
Future, I feel like you guys have a future.
And you're playing De Niro's wife in the movie?
That's right. Yeah, I'm Bob. I play Bob's wife, Irene. He plays the title character. He plays the Irishman. A character's name is Sharon. And I play Irene Sharon.
Okay.
Which is technically his second wife.
Okay, wait. You called him Bob.
It just sounds so weird.
Is that what people call him that know him?
Bob, yeah, Bob. Or some people who know him really well call him Bobby.
Call him what? What was that? What do they call him?
Bobby.
Oh, Bobby. This sounds so odd. It's like calling your teacher by their first name for the first time in a long time.
It is.
You know? It's weird.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, what is the movie about itself called The Irishman? What is it about?
Well, so the movie is based on a book called I Heard You Paint Houses, which was a novel by an investigative journalist by the name of Charles Brandt, who wrote the story of this man, Frank Sheeran, was sort of his end-of-life confession about his life working for a Philadelphia-based mob boss named Russell Buffalino, who's played by Joe Pesci in the movie. And it's Frank's, basically his memoir of, all the things that he did over the years. And the focus of the book and the reason that the book was so famous and popular is because this man, Frank Sheeran, was intimately acquainted with and claims to have known about the disappearance and death of Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh,
wow.
That's a big deal.
Wow.
Yeah. So
this is going to be good. I mean, I'm just looking at, if you pull it up on IMDb, And obviously they already love the movie. The minute you see that cast, you know you're going to like the movie to begin with, and it's just it's unbelievable the names that are in here, and the budget on this baby is like $140 million, and you're expecting a really great story in it, and just hearing that short amount that you said, I think this is going to be a really good movie. Yeah. How exciting!
It's pretty epic. Yeah, I think people are going to like it.
That's fantastic. Now let's talk about you a little bit.
You're from Omaha. When did you leave Omaha, and where did you go?
I was born and raised there. I went to Central High School, and upon graduation from there, I headed to NYU for college. So, I kind of went straight from Omaha to the Big Apple, from the Big O to the Big Apple, and then proceeded to sort of build my life and career out here on the East Coast. But I still have a lot of family in Omaha, and my family still owns a business that my grandparents built in the 1950s. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the West Lane Bowling Center.
Oh yeah,
right yes.
I was in a bowling league, a long time ago, and we no big deal. We bowled at your grandparents' bowling.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a traveling tournament. I was pretty good. Were you good?
I was gonna say, were you?
I was. I had a kind of a weight problem when I was little, but so I didn't do a lot much, other than bowl. Like I focused on it. I like an average of, as like a 12-year-old, had an average of like 140.
Okay, that's all right.
You blow me out of the water, and I grew up in that bowling.
Average 140. It's a pretty big deal.
Now let me ask you: when you left Omaha, or roughly what year was that?
Let me see. I left Omaha in the early 90s, like 91,
okay.
I think it was. Maybe 92. Yeah, no, 91.
Okay. And you go to New York City. What did you end up? You went to school, but then obviously you got things. You started maybe going to some auditions. I saw that you had a movie in 97.
Yeah. Oh, boy, yeah. That was actually, So I was sort of fresh out of college at that point. And I think that was the first feature I ever did. But I had trained to be a stage actor. So I spent the majority of the first part of my career on stage. So I was, I got out of college. I started auditioning. I did theater all around the country. Everywhere from like Wisconsin to Texas.
Wow. And
eventually ended up, I was able to stay in New York. I did a few Broadway shows, sort of back to back.
Wow.
And had my two sons. Actually, both of them were born while I was doing Broadway shows, which was kind of amazing because I was looked like a really fat chorus girl, but I was super pregnant.
That's awesome.
Singing and dancing. They were like, "Oh, bless her heart." No, actually, I'm having a baby.
That's funny.
And then when the boys were quite young, I sort of went, wow, I've got two little boys and I'm working 6 days a week and I never get to put my kids to bed. And so that was the moment when I decided, I was like, maybe I should do more film and television because then I don't have to be gone 6 days a week. And I'd like to be here to actually raise these human beings that I brought into the world. Yeah. And that's kind of how I transitioned into more film and television. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting too, because you can really tell right when you made that transition, because it was like you were in like and still to this day, like some of the top shows that you've made appearances in.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've gotten to do some good stuff.
Do you get to work with a lot of the principals when you're doing some of those shows, like say The Good Wife?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I worked with Juliana Margulies. I worked with Matt, who played, what was the name of his character, was Carrie.
Yes.
Sort of the junior lawyer. I worked with Matt a lot.
Because he's on the new show.
God, I missed that show.
What is his show now?
Yeah, he's on the Doctor Show.
Yes,
right?
And it's
The Resident or something.
The Resident.
Like
That's it. Yeah, I always liked his character though on The Good Wife. I did. Do you know what we're talking about, Pat?
I'd never watched The Good Wife.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
I've
heard a lot of great things about it.
You should binge it. It's good.
The Good Wife is good, and you're also on The Good Fight.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was actually kind of came out of nowhere because The Good Wife ended, and I was like, oh well, bye bye to that nice little recurring role. And then out of nowhere, they called me. I was like, this is my business. Like things come, they go. But they called me and they said, hey, let's we're bringing your character back onto the new show, and I was like thrilled. So that was fun. And then I got to work with Christine Baranski and Bing Rames and Andre McDonald in that episode. That was fun.
Super
and
cool.
Kathy Najimy,
Yes.
which is, you don't think of her as a dramatic actress necessarily, but
She's very good.
she's a phenomenal actor.
Very good. And then most recently, I got to ask, because I saw your name mentioned in connection with Blue Bloods. Which, every show that you've been in is, I think there's like 3 that I hadn't seen. They're all my favorite shows. They're all top shows. And so I know, I'm like, holy crap, she's been in everything I love. So in Blue Bloods, was that in just this past season that just ended in 2019, or the one that's just getting ready to kick off?
The one that's getting ready to kick off. So I did
Wow.
an episode that
cool.
aired a couple of weeks ago. There's Brittany, this phenomenal character that I've already been back once. So I show up actually the 22nd of November. My second episode airs.
Okay.
And then there's probably more coming later in the season. I play, I always play these sort of tough women.
Good for
which
you.
I love. But I think people may begin to misinterpret because I play so many of these, like, sort of, I don't know. I play a lot of people with resting, face.
Oh,
yeah.
I hear you.
A little RBF.
And I think what people don't understand is I'm a really nice person, and the characters I play just are really misunderstood.
trying
So you have
to
to
bring,
be on the lookout for.
trying to bring a
Sergeant
soft side
McNichol.
to some tough ladies. That's what
That's
you're trying to
awesome.
do. I get it.
A long time
I
ago.
mean, we're all complicated people,
Right. A long time ago, I had a friend that lived here in Omaha. He was in radio, and he had a friend who was trying to be an actress out in L.A. So when I went out there, I'm like, I want to just go to the West Coast, just hang out on the beach, right? So I flew out there and stayed with her, I think her boyfriend or whatever, for like 3 or 4 days. One of their friends was an actor just starting out and had gotten a reoccurring role on some show, not reoccurring, I'm sorry, a guest spot on one show.
Okay.
And I had happened to be out there when his episode aired, and he had a big party, and like all of his friends were over and watching his. And when he came on, everybody clapped. It was a pretty big role for that show. So when your episodes air, do you do anything? You sit around with the family? Do you Skype with your parents? What do you do?
I'm really jealous of your friend's support. You know that story because I have to tell you. When I certainly have the support and love of my family, certainly my dad, my brother, my sister, they always tune in, and I inevitably get a few texts from people here and there, but I don't know, maybe it's just because I think any working mother can appreciate this statement. You do something and you're kind of like, oh, well, now I have to deal with real life, so I forgot that I'm going to be on TV tonight.
That's
because
funny.
I have to be, juggling 14 other balls in the air.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah,
exactly.
No time for the party.
Which is not to say that it's not still thrilling. I don't mean to say that at all. I'm not so jaded at this point in my career where I can be smoking a cigarette, whatever. But
Wait, Stephanie, this is your cell number. We'll send you a text the next day to let
We
you know
promise.
you did a good job.
will you?
Yeah. We promise.
If I don't get that text, I'm just going to assume that I was terrible and I
Right.
won't watch the episode.
No, I'm putting it in my calendar so I get an alert on my phone. So
There
don't
you
worry
go.
about it.
Very good.
We'll watch it. I want to
You're
watch it.
I love it. Now, how old are your boys
okay.
now?
So my oldest Calvin is 12, and my little guy is 10, Dexter.
Oh my gosh. Pat's daughter's a little bit older.
13. Yeah,
She's
so
13.
13 and my son's 17. So it's are you
Oh yeah. Oh, so you're a little ahead of me.
a little bit. Yeah. My son, we're dealing with this, teaching him that he needs to change underwear every day. Like you can't wear the same underpants for a whole week. So that's coming for you. Just body
Isn't it
odor.
amazing, the thing? Wow.
Yeah.
It is. It's amazing. It is. We've been going through this cycle, it seems like lately, of things that it's like, God, you need to stop and teach particular things. You have to make a real effort and intention to teach things that you just assume people already know because you don't remember when you were taught them. They just happened.
It just happened.
And you've done them for so long.
Yeah.
And so it's the little things.
I find myself saying things coming out of my mouth. When they're toddlers, you find yourself saying funny things all the time. You think, I never imagined I would ever say no, don't put the Play-Doh in your armpit and lick it. You
Right.
find yourself saying things that you're like, but it's a toddler or a preschooler. So you're like, okay, that makes sense. But when they get to 17 and you're going, hey, change your underwear today, those are definitely things you don't think you're going to need to say.
Right.
And you do.
Yeah. Or how many days have you worn those socks? Or quit sleeping with your switchblade in your bed? Like all this stuff. He's got it's not a switchblade, it's a butterfly knife, and he's like learning these tricks on it with flipping it around. He thinks it's the coolest thing. He sleeps his bed. He's got a remote control. He's got a switchblade or whatever blade. He has a plate. He has his phone. He has dirty socks. He takes off and lays them in the bed next to him. It's like, I don't get it, man.
I think he sounds like a blast. I want to invite him over to a party.
Right? What's in his bed sounds like a lost and found at the YMCA.
Seriously?
I mean,
Seriously.
you got it all right there.
So when you were
the first night he rolled over on that butterfly blade, he's going to learn that lesson super fast.
True.
So,
sometimes you can't protect him from everything. You're right.
That's awesome.
So, Stephanie, when you were growing up in Omaha, like Andrew Rannells did, leaving Omaha and going off and becoming a big deal, did you do a lot of theater like at the community playhouse here or anything? Was it at Central mostly or any community stuff?
Oh, yeah. No, I totally grew up doing community stuff, although I never worked at the Playhouse, which is ironic because it was sort of down the street from where I grew up. But I spent a lot of time as a younger kid at do you guys remember the Emmy Gifford?
Oh, yeah.
Theater?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Closed now.
Yeah.
But that was, I grew up doing plays and stuff, and I remember my very first experience on stage. And I think probably where I sort of lit up and went, oh, wow, I could do this forever, was I did a production of Oliver at the Civic Auditorium.
Yes.
Jeez, that's a big
and
deal.
that was like, that was a big, I mean, there were hundreds of children in the cast. I mean, they were probably just trying to shore up their sales by inviting every kid to be in it, and they're knowing their families would buy the ticket.
Every kid we hire, we sell 2 tickets.
Right. At least.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's a brilliant strategy.
It is.
And it's sad too when you come back to Omaha and drive around. Do you get back very often? First off,
not nearly as much as I would like. I have actually made it a priority recently in the last year or so because I have been so busy. I'd like if I don't make time to go home, I'll just keep kicking the can, and it'll be a year.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to happen. I still have a lot of family there, and they're important to me to see them. So.
I'm sure. And I'm sure when you come back, it's always got to be just like another one of those, like, oh my God, where'd that building go? Or holy crap, when they build that? Because I get that way sometimes when I go to parts of town I haven't been to for a while. And I'm like, geez, this is so different.
I can't, the fact that, Omaha's gotten so big since I was there. I find myself using, who thought you would ever need like your Google Maps or GPS to get around your hometown?
Yeah.
And I come home and I'm like, wait, where's that Runza? Like I used to take a left at the Runza. Where's the Runza?
That is such a Nebraska thing to say or a Midwestern thing to say because they always give directions like turn left at the silo and then go to the Runza. You're going to take a right.
Yeah, right. When you get out past the Dreamy High slides, you're going to want to say, the Moby Dick water slide.
Yes!
You knew you were at the edge of town when you were at the Moby Dick water slide.
Oh,
now
man.
it's like,
I
the middle of town now?
I loved Moby Dick water slides. It was so much fun. So much fun.
Oh, man, me too.
Yeah.
You remember the scenes of the slides were put together with like really crappy like silicone or something that was like really rough, and you just shred to the bottom of your bathing suit would be like in tatters by the end of the day, but you didn't care, and your ass would just be scratched up and you didn't care.
Yes, you get home.
That?
Yes, you can.
Be bloody and chafed and you cut
I
up.
remember that's funny you say that because I grew up in Ashland, and so one of the places we used to go was to Lenoma Beach, and when I was a kid, they had this giant water slide, and it literally was a metal slide, like on a playground, that you climb all the way up to the top. There was no cage to catch you. There was no security whatsoever, nothing. And you go down. You if you're smart, you took a bucket of water up with you, because otherwise that metal, it would leave a mark because it was hot. And then when you go down, if you grab the sides, that's where the rivets were. And so if you try to slow down, your fingers would catch on them. So you had to keep your hands.
That's why kids are pansies these days, man.
Right?
They have to deal with that. That's life on the streets right there.
It's as close as it got. Yeah.
That's life.
That's life.
That's great. Well, how long are you going to get to stay in town?
It's going to be a quick trip. I got to turn around and get back fairly quickly. So just a couple of days. Just enough time to come in and sort of celebrate the opening of the film, see some good friends and family, and, probably
drive around.
I don't know if there's a Husker game on or not.
There will be.
Yeah, play Wisconsin.
We do Wisconsin
They want to take a knee. Oh, yeah, Wisconsin's this week. I don't know who's next week. Hopefully it's a bye week.
No, it's not. We've had 2 of those already.
Ugh.
And it's the week before Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not Iowa.
Yeah.
So who's left to beat us? It's still a good tailgate. I don't care. Right? I don't care. There'll be a game to watch.
I'm still going to drink like I'm going to drink like it's a tailgate either way.
That's right. Drink like it's 96, man.
Seriously. Stephanie, you're awesome. Thank you for taking the time to come on. Congrats on the movie.
The movie called The Irishman. That's going to be opening. Look it up online, guys. I mean, you're going to be blown away when you see what this cast looks like. And I see your face right there in the middle of all those famous faces. And I'm glad to get a chance to meet you.
Thanks so much, guys. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Stephanie. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. She is going to regret giving us her cell number. Just telling you that.
I think you should just text her little notes every once in a while.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Steph, how you doing?
I just want to do like gifts of me, like of dabs. I love the Betty White dab one.
He literally the other day I sent you some stupid text. I don't know what it was. He didn't send me Betty White. You just sent me the word dab.
Yeah, that's being edgy. I did that to Bennett the other day, and he's like, "Dad, don't try to be edgy."
It's just between you and him, though, right?
Yeah,
nobody else can see it, so it's okay.
It doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. So anyway,
so that was cool.
Great to talk to.
Yeah,
Stephanie, and to get a chance to know her.
Had no idea and I recognized her, and I had no idea she was from Omaha.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So many shows, and when I didn't even mention Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
she was Wolf. I said Wolf.
I was gonna say, did you say you don't?
I don't say
woof?
that. That's what Scott says, right? Scotty says that.
Yeah,
Wolf.
Wolf.
Wolf of Wall Street. The Wolf of Wall Street.
Not as intimidating of a movie. Wolf of Wall Street. What? So text us at 402-403-9478. Are you Wolf or Wolf?
Wolf or Wolf?
Do you say Wolf or Wolf?
Do you know Stephanie?
Right. It's a lot of questions today. Wolf of Wall Street.
That was a mistake. I don't normally say that.
Cat on a hot tin wolf. Thanks for checking out our podcast.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Parkville Media Production.